Hi guys.
Hi, is everybody?
Sorry for being a little late, but we had a discussion about flights.
We did.
Hi guys, how's everybody?
Yeah. Hi, is everyone in chat? I'm going to say hi to you guys. How's everybody this Saturday? Having
Hi,
a good
Richard.
weekend?
Hi, Elizabeth. Hi, Lucy. Hi, Sarah Jane. Weekend? It's only Saturday.
Yeah. Still have to go. Have to go. There's my alert that we are live.
Comes so late.
I know, right?
Who's echoing? Me?
Am I echoing?
Frankie Post said you're echoing. Hi, Mary. Hi, Michael.
Anyone else here echoing?
No, Mary says sound is good. Hi, Canadian Mama. Hi, Irvin.
Hey, guys. Is our sound okay today?
Seems like it. Frankie says must be him. Yeah, probably.
Frankie, just close your YouTube and come back in again.
Right.
Am I making an annoying clicking noise to anybody? I love that little comment on our last week video.
Drums in your background, like.
That's all apparently I was clicking last week after everything I said.
Yeah.
Yeah. If that person's here this week, maybe they should just, leave.
Yeah. So give this a big thumbs up, guys. And I think let's get into this.
Yeah, this is an in-depth one, guys.
Yeah. So I thought putting this together, this is going to be a 5-minute thing. But as I was digging and digging and digging, you guys better get some coffee or tea or lemonade or Coke or
right?
whatever, because this is going to be a long one tonight. So, yeah, we had a complaint recently that nobody wants to listen to 2 hours of our BS. But if you're not prepared to watch a little bit longer than 1 hour, then...
Yeah, I just noticed Irvin has said, funny how someone is somewhat copying what you guys already touched on. Yeah, my phone was on fire this week with people sending messages saying, hey, have you guys seen this? Have you guys seen that? I don't mind anyone using our material if they say, hey, this is where I saw it, because there's so much work goes into pulling it all together, and it would just be nice for them to be honest. But maybe that's asking too much. So it's a little bit annoying. In regards to anything else that goes on YouTube, if other creators want to call us out, we have an email, we have direct message. There's no need to be doing it on your channel. So we are going to address that later, but we're going to do it in the way we like to do things here at RedX, and that's we're going to show you guys the evidence that relates to when creators go a wee bit crazy and do things that they shouldn't do. So that will be at the end. So it'll be a nice little treat for you guys.
Yeah, that will be the end because we're doing what we're doing. And
and that's that's the important bit.
I can only speak for myself. I'm not getting involved in any drama. I don't care what anybody says, what she says, what he says. I don't care.
Yeah.
So if you want to send me messages containing drama, just don't do it because I won't answer.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Lucy's just asking, is there going to be time for questions? Always time for questions, Lucy.
Yeah, definitely.
No problem at all. And I'm not sure, Elizabeth just say, are you from Ireland? I am. I'm up north. So yeah, I am indeed. So
Yeah.
hopefully you guys have got used to me now and can understand the lingo a bit.
Yeah, Irvin, it's not about, because Irvin says some creators will always saw they did it first and never praise the person who finds it. That's okay too. There's only so much information.
Yeah.
But then to try to discredit or have an opinion on a fact, it's not, it's just not going to happen. So we just keep doing what we're doing, and let's start.
Yeah, let's go. So we'll see you guys on the other side.
I'm going to share my screen with you guys now. Oops. That's in the middle of things. And we're going to go. Are you guys seeing it okay?
Yeah, that's perfect, huh?
Okay. So today we wanted to find out, was there a plan and the weird movements at Cervi. Plus, we have a special where Danielle is going to take over later on, and she explains to us what a gate expert actually does. That should be interesting. And as always, the information you're about to see has been made public through the discovery by the Weld County DA. This live stream does not serve the purpose of incriminating or exonerating anyone involved in this case, but we are allowed to ask questions. So chat and comments. Be civil in chat and comments. There's no space for hate or bullies on my channel. Zero tolerance for trolls. If you cannot discuss a topic and be polite at the same time, you will be blocked from my channel. And because people were coming in the chat, our last lives, and distract other people who want to listen and want to read and ask questions. So stay to the topic that's being discussed, please. No he said, she said, no soliciting of other channels or creators with the intent to distract from the topic that's being discussed. That would be nice, guys, if you can just keep to the topic and not, come in and say, oh, this creator said this and this creator said this, if it has nothing to do with the content we're about to show you. So what we're going to start off with is Chris Watts' co-workers. Hi, Lana. Thank you for super chat.
Oh, Lana, thank you so much.
Thank you.
There's another creator that puts the R's in. You know it, girl.
Yeah.
You know it.
So what I was thinking is, like I said, this is going to be a 5-minute thing. But then I was like, nah, we're going to start at the beginning, with messages to Chris Watts' co-workers. And we start off with Cody Roberts. Cody Roberts is said to have been living with Troy McCoy for a while. I don't know any further information about that. So I just take it as a rumor or whatever. Maybe it's true. We don't know. There's no proof. So Cody is kind of like a rookie. He appreciates Chris Watts' help all over what has to do with field work, since Watts is an operator, and all of Watts' co-workers, he's basically a go-to person. So what we're going to start off is with his messages on Sunday regarding the Cervi 319. I got to start this early on in the beginning of the story because it will all tie in together and you will see at the end of the video. So Sunday, August the 12th, Watts says at 5:06 hours, I have to whip check the Cervi 629. I'm going to go straight out there from my house in the morning. I will look at the 319 as well and run the 1129 if you want, Roberts replies. I was going to head out there first thing tomorrow to check the 319. Did Troy talk to you about what I found there on Friday? Watts, yep, I was standing right next to him. I was giving him a fire stick to look at. I can go out there, though. No sense in both of us going out there, LOL. Roberts replies, all right, sounds good, man. I appreciate it. I think I still have a couple of conies left out there. Conies is some kind of tools. My friend Mary looked that up, what conies
Oh,
are.
okay, cool.
I didn't know that. So I can let you know in the morning. And let me know if you find anything at the 319. If not, we may pressure test that BP line and see if it's leaking underground. Watts replies, copy that. So his initial plan was going out to Cervi 629. But since Cody called McCoy saying, look, we have a leak, and Watts was the go-to person anyway, Watts volunteered going out to 319, even though it was not his plan. So then let's move on to Monday, August the 13th in the morning. These are the messages Cody and Watts exchanged. So Watts at 6:31 hours, where you at? Roberts, just got fuel in Kersey. Watts, okay, I'm in Cervi. Where are you going first? Nothing suspicious about that. That's just normal conversation. So Roberts, DPC state. Watts replies with a thumbs up emoji. Roberts, I need to call Chad and see if plans on still stroking the 1029 out there to see if it will pump up. If so, I'll have to meet him, or he will have to get the cannon plugs from Tony K. Watts, okay, let me know before I leave here. Roberts, I think he might be heading out there today. Phone was breaking up pretty bad. I guess I'm headed out that way to start up the 1029, and Chad will be meeting me out there. Watts, okay, copy. Roberts, I'm here at 1029 now. That was at 7:41, by the way. You mind coming out there just in case something gets sideways? Watts, yeah, I'm at 319. 1 second. Roberts, how does it look? Fresh, LOL. Is it a lot? Watts sends a photo of the pipes in the ground with an apparent leak. Roberts, want me to bring some gator? We can try and pressure test the line too if you want. Watts, I got it handled. Thanks though. So this is the picture Chris sends to Cody Roberts with the leak at 7:43 hours. I gotta go back real quick, show you something. So he is saying at around 6:30, he is at Cervi 629, right? So at 7:43, he tells Roberts, oh, I'm out there already at 319, and sends him this picture. Good. Additional information that was provided by Cody Roberts was Roberts did not know that Cervi 629 needed whip checks. Roberts provided that no one really likes going out there to Cervi as it is so far. If Watts would not have gone to Cervi Monday morning, he would have gone to the office. Roberts did not know the last time Watts may have been out to Cervi Ranch. Roberts estimated that Watts spends 95% of his time in the field and 5% in the office. He would spend 1 to 2 hours in the Platteville office in the mornings. That's what they all do, by the way. They all spend like 1 or 2 hours, just to get briefings and see their team and stuff before they head out to the fields. So Watts was previously a rover and is now a lead and works all over the place. Chad McNeil and Melissa Parrish were at 1029. Watts was at 629, because this is what Watts's original plan was, going to 629. But since he was volunteering, Cody, he said, I'll go out there at the 319s, no problem. This is just how Chris Watts was, right? So when Watts was there at 6:30, like he told Roberts, no one but Watts would have been there. Troy McCoy, Chad McNeil, and Melissa Parrish would have been the first ones to see Watts on Monday the 13th. Unknown exact order they all arrived. All of the named employees aren't separate vehicles. Fine?
Tanya, have we lost you? Folks in chat, are you able to hear Tanya, or is it just me?
Sorry?
Tanya, we lost you there for a second.
Oh, where about?
You cut out about 30 seconds ago.
Oh, okay, that's fine. I mean, you guys can all pause it and read it up anyway.
Yeah, sure.
So
I just thought we'd lost you completely because the screen went black for a second, but you're back, so that's good.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. I don't know what's going on.
No, you're all good. You're all good now.
I have full connection, so yeah. Maybe my laptop is already sick of the Watts case.
It's had enough.
Yeah. So this is the Chad McNeil interview. I'm gonna just fly over it because he doesn't provide any, suspicious information. The one thing I have to mention, though, is that Chad McNeil does not say anything out of the ordinary happened on Cervi 319, but after chatting or talking with Troy McCoy, he adds, or he calls on the 15th, McNeil asking for additional directions. So the agent has called McNeil to ask for additional directions to Cervi 319, which in itself is weird because, why not just check Google Maps? McNeil provided the requested information and also advised that he had recalled some additional information. On Monday, August 13th, McNeil had observed Watts wearing old boots with his pants tucked in, as previously stated. McNeil thought the pants being tucked into the boots was unusual, but he was also told by McCoy that Watts had a new pair of boots that he had been wearing. Watts was not wearing a new pair of boots on Monday. McNeil also recalled Watts complaining that he was hot when McNeil and Parrish arrived. McNeil remarked that this complaint was odd as it was only around 8 a.m. and McNeil did not recall it being very warm. McNeil did not recall seeing any perspiration or stains on Watts' clothing. McNeil did not recall if Watts had performed any work on the site by the time McNeil and Parrish had arrived. Which is weird because when we, in a second, look at Melissa Parrish's statement, she very well said, we arrived there and Watts already dug a hole around the leak and stuff like that. So it's weird that McNeil states, Watts hadn't performed any work on the site.
Yeah, that's such a bizarre thing to say when he quite clearly had dug a hole, according to Melissa.
Right. So the messages was at 6:41. Watts followed that call. So he called McNeil at around 6:41 and McNeil didn't answer. They all don't answer because, it alerts the Geotab and then they get in trouble with Anadarko. So at 6:41 hours, Watts followed that call that was unanswered with a message asking McNeil, "You headed out to Cervi? I'm out here." Cody said something about pumping up the 1029. This came from his work phone. You see that underneath. That's item 40 and the timeline in which order he sent those messages. So McNeil replied, "Well, since you're out there, you want to fire it up, have Cody bring his cables." At 6:44, Watts agreed. "Okay, I will." McNeil advised, "I'll head out there, he head out there in a bit." So then he called him and held a 2-minute conversation. We move on to the statement of Melissa Parrish. Melissa also, on to the left, does not say anything suspicious. She says she arrives at approximately 8:25 a.m., which would be consistent with what Chad McNeil says. But then again, after talking with McCoy, Melissa stated the following. On August 16, 2018, Ryder received a follow-up call from Parrish. Parrish never observed Watts traveled directly from his house to the oil field. She often encountered him at the office in the mornings prior to leaving for sites. She did not recall him sending out a message via GroupMe that he was at Cervi 319, and she believes he usually sends a message to the group when he's in the field. McCoy had told her Watts had a new pair of boots that he had been wearing. Parrish had not seen his new pair of boots on Monday, August the 13th. Watts was wearing an older pair of boots with his pants tucked in. Parrish had observed that Watts normally wears his pants over his boots. Parrish asked Watts about this, and he replied that he was worried about snakes and legless lizards. Parrish did not believe Watts was sweaty or complaining about the heat. So guys, keep in mind, Parrish, McNeil, and Watts, they all stood together on that side around that leak. So to McNeil, he says, "Oh, I'm hot." To Melissa, she doesn't recall him saying hot. So he's being hot. Watts was sociable Monday. He spoke about the Rockies game and he joked with McCoy. During the course of repairing the equipment, Watts released the pressure release, which caused some oil to spit out. Parrish had observed Watts to be meticulous with cleanliness, but on this occasion, he did not clean the spill. So here again, after talking to Troy McCoy, she calls back in and says, "Oh, he wasn't wearing his new work boots." I mean, I don't know about you guys, but what has this to do with anything?
And that is very bizarre. They're strange comments to make in regards to what's going on in the greater situation. It's very bizarre.
Right, exactly. And also why calling in with this weird information and after talking with Troy McCoy, So Troy McCoy, I don't know about this guy, man. So let's move on to him. Troy McCoy. Troy McCoy was interviewed twice by CBI. In his first interview, he did not mention that he had been back at Cervi 319 on Tuesday to look for evidence, even though he told agents that CW had not been acting suspicious Monday morning. After he arrived at Cervi 319 on Tuesday, he was surprised to see that water truck guy pumping water out of the separator. McCoy did not call CBI back during investigations. Agents found out that he had been there a second time while reviewing the water truck worker's statement. CBI then interviewed McCoy again at the office of Anadarko. Since McCoy had not mentioned his second visit to Cervi 319, he raised suspicion, causing CBI agents to pull all available data through Anadarko. So thank you, Troy, for that, because you did not tell investigators that you've been a second time to Cervi 319, and that's the reason we have all your data now. So thanks a lot. So check out his first interview. I'm not going to go through all of his first interview. You guys always can pause it and read up for yourselves. What I have put, though, is the significant information he gives, and you just got to take my word for it. If not, then just pause this video and read up. So in his first interview, he gives no significant information, no mention of new or old work boots, no mention of anything out of the ordinary on site, mentions that he visited Watts twice in his house, met Shanann at a company Christmas party in 2017. CW and SW were very clean. Offers agents to check his phone. Says he does not know if Chris Watts has an affair. Knows that Nicole Atkinson called CW on site and remembers her name. And he knew about problems Shanann and Chris had in their marriage. He arrived at Cervi 319 by 8:30 a.m. and left Cervi 319 by 11 a.m. and traveled to Cervi 1029 together with Melissa and Chad. So, 2 days later, he basically got a little bit busted. So, on August the 16th, while at the Cervi 319 oil tank site, I spoke with vacuum truck driver Chris Ostrander. Chris works for Complete Energy Services and was on site to vacuum the crude oil from the catch pan the east oil tank was drained into. I asked Chris about, so he means Chris Ostrander. So when I say Chris, he means the water truck guy. About the oil well site process and what prompts him to respond to a specific oil well site. Chris explained Complete Energy Services is contracted by Anadarko to remove the oil and or water from the oil tanks and separators located at many oil well sites. I asked Chris how often he was called in to drain the tanks at Cervi 319. He said it is not a high-producing oil well, so it's not as often as most others. Chris said the last time he was at Cervi 319 on August the 14th at approximately 2 o'clock to vacuum the pit, which is a tank to contain the water separated from the crude oil. This is the little tank that's black besides oil tanks. I asked Chris if he noted anything different or unusual at that time. Chris said an Anadarko operator arrived at the site shortly after he did and parked east of the oil pump head. Chris said that was unusual because he had never seen anyone parked that far away from the tank area. It should be noted the area Chris described is also adjacent and near the area where Shanann's body was recovered. Chris said he didn't recognize the person but was convinced he was an Anadarko employee because he was driving a dark full-size pickup consistent with Anadarko trucks. Chris said he spoke with the man who told him, Chris, he was looking for a wrench he lost from leaving it on his rear bumper or tailgate and to check on things. I asked Chris if he was able to get the man's name. Chris said he did not, but that man signed his electronic JSA form. When asked, Chris explained a JSA form is a job safety analysis document he completes for each site he works at. When an Anadarko employee is also present at a job site, he requests they sign the electronic form. Chris said once his JSA form was signed, he went back to vacuuming the holding tank, and the unidentified Anadarko employee drove off. I asked Chris if he would be able to get a copy of the JSA form for that specific visit. He said he likely could, and shortly thereafter informed me it was available and could be emailed to me. After I provided my email address to Chris, I received an email from Brett Redis, Complete Energy Services, at 11:19 with the associated JSA form attached. I opened the attachment and observed two typed names with signatures below them. The first was Chris' name and a signature, and the second was Troy McCoy's name and a signature. I contacted Commander Egan at the Frederick Police Department and informed him of what I had learned and requested someone contact and interview Troy McCoy about his presence on the Cervi 319 site on Tuesday, August the 14th. At 11:21 hours, I forwarded via email to Commander Egan the JSA form I was provided via email. Nothing further. So he definitely raised suspicion when the agent told everything to his commander and says, you know what, go and get a hold of him. Something's up here. So here you see on the left, this is the KSI form Chris was talking about. To the right, you see they have to put down or draw down how and where exactly they put their truck for safety reasons. And the names underneath is Chris Ostrander, of course, and the one with the signature is Troy McCoy. To the right, you see Chris Ostrander. This image is available in the Discovery. So do you guys believe McCoy would have ever come forward telling CBI that he was at Cervi 319 for a second time if Chris Ostrander wasn't there? I don't believe he would. Do you believe it, Danielle?
I don't, purely just because he had the opportunity to say several things, and he didn't. It wasn't the only thing he didn't say, and I fully believe Mr. McCoy, let's put it this way, went away, had a conversation with other people, and then came back and told the investigating officers stuff that he was saying as if it was his first-hand experience, but he'd actually been fed it between them. So he was saying things that couldn't possibly have happened. And as another creator pointed out during the week on our live, Troy said that one of the reasons why he was motivated to go back was because he heard about the, Shanann being missing and the girls being missing on the news and the news coverage, and that's one of the things that kind of, worked him up into a bit of a sort of, right, I need to go back and look. But that can't possibly have been true because there hadn't been any news coverage at that point. So he really just put his foot right in it.
Right.
And, if there's one lie, there's probably, going to be more than one. So there's just too many little things that, in my opinion, he messed up.
Yeah. So. Urban is asking, there's a reason why he had to be interviewed twice. I want to hear the first interview. There's no audio of the first interview, just the written report. But the reason why they interviewed him the second time was because they found out about that he was out there on Tuesday. So they were asking themselves probably, what does this guy do out there? And he never mentioned it in our first interview. So what the heck is going on?
Yeah, he had that's the thing, guys. People sort of think that he was interviewed and then he went back out, but because I heard someone saying that and I was like, no. He had already been out to the second visit to Cervi, the covert one, let's say, where he bumped into the water truck pumper. So he had already done that when he had his first interview. That's really important to note, because he could have just openly said there and then, oh yeah, and suspicions were raised, so I actually went back out. He had the opportunity to say, and then he had the opportunity to lift the phone and call at any point, and he still didn't. And then it's only in his second interview that he turns on the waterworks and he starts, the woe me, I'm just so upset by all of this, I'm devastated. Yeah, that's not going to fly this time. We've just busted you in several lies.
Yeah.
So no, you
and
can
he
turn
himself in his first interview, he does not mention, he wore old work boots and he tucked his stuff in and his legs and whatever. He tells that to other coworkers, but never mentions it himself. So this is the second interview. Like I said, guys, I'm not reading it all out. This would take way too long, but you're welcome to read it up. So in his second interview, then, he says he met Watts for Firestick in Fort Luton Safeway parking lot at 3:05 p.m. Cody calls McCoy and tells him about the leak at Cervi 319. So that was all Friday during they were meeting up at the Safeway parking lot. McCoy states CW overheard the conversation and offered to go out to Cervi 319 first thing in the morning, which we now know is not true because Watts stated to Cody he will go out Cervi 6:29 first thing Monday morning and then Cervi 319. McCoy states, Watts volunteering to get things fixed was not unusual. McCoy states that encounter was the last he heard about CW until Monday mid-morning. McCoy states Watts had called Roberts on Sunday and told him to fix Cervi 319 first thing in the morning. So that wasn't a last encounter Friday. How does McCoy know CW called Roberts on Sunday and told him to go to Cervi 319 first thing in the morning? Like I said, there is a rumor that Cody Roberts was living with McCoy, but like I said, this is not proven. So, and underneath you see the screenshot of the discovery, what said again. I have whip checks for the Cervi 629. I'm gonna go straight out there from my house in the morning. So Cody stated clearly CW told him he will go out to Cervi 629 first, not Cervi 319. So we go on Monday, August 13. What happened? McCoy states in his second interview that at 6 a.m. he leaves his house for work. At 6:45 a.m. he arrived at Anadarko office. At 6:43 a.m. Watts called him, but McCoy declined the call because he was driving. If you guys have listened or watched my Geotab alert video, you will know why and how all this Geotab stuff works. So I recommend you watch this after this live stream. So he meets with members of his team at the office. He meets with members of his team at the office. We know that's Melissa Parrish, that's Cody, that's Chad McNeil, but none of them telling investigators that they met Troy McCoy in the morning on Monday morning, August the 13th, in the office. At 7:30 a.m., he got a burrito. At 7:45 a.m., he left the Anadarko office. Shortly after he left, he says, he received a call from Watts and pulled to the side to take the call. CW told him that he is at Cervi 319 to fix the bypass line, the leak. At 8:40, he arrived at Cervi 319. Chet, Melissa, CW already on site. CW parked at the wellhead, which he found not normal. Drew a box representing Chris Watts' truck. More on that shortly. I'll show you that picture. So what you see on the right, these pink thingies, I put these pink boxes because he contradicts himself with what the report states and what he says in the actual audio interview. So he's saying CW parked at the wellhead, which he found not normal, and drew a box representing CW's truck. So he's drawing CW's truck with the headlights to the left and with his tail basically to the right, but not facing the field. In his audio interview, he says the tailgate of Chris Watts' truck was facing the field. CW wore unusual baggy clothing, so now he wears unusual baggy clothing and his old boots, which was strange since he knew CW had new ones. He noticed that one leg was tucked in boot. He did not observe anything else that was unusual, and CW appeared to be normal. He observed that CW, walking back to his truck, paused for a moment, looking to the south of the pad, so the south of the field for a moment. This is what the written report states. The audio, he says, he observed CW walking past his truck and looking out in the field, performing a circle check. This is what they gotta do before they get back into their trucks. So they check if anything is behind their truck, if the tires are all right, and stuff like that. So that's called a circle check. CW did not look at a specific point, looking up in the sky with his head up. When McCoy arrived, CW already dug an 8-inch hole around the leak. Then he mentions in his audio interview that every operator has a 12-inch wrench, which they use for everything. McCoy carried his one in his pocket. So McCoy states, while on Cervi 1029, Watts received a call from a neighbor. So all of a sudden, he doesn't know that it was Nicole Atkinson. He now calls her a neighbor, just like everybody else. Because Melissa and also Chad mentioned that Watts received calls from a neighbor. So McCoy just repeats them, even though he knows that Nicole called him, because this is what he states in his first interview. Watts about what happened to Shanann. This is weird too, because when somebody is missing, I'm like, I gotta go home and see where she is, or, but do you really say what happened to Shanann? That's kind of weird.
No, I personally wouldn't. I think it is really bizarre wording.
Yeah, definitely. So Watts stated he needed to defecate. CW started his truck and went behind the tanks, which you can see on the right. This is a picture of Cervi 1029, and where that little 4 is underneath those 4 tanks, this is where he went with his truck to defecate. McCoy states that he thought CW may have buried evidence there. So this is why they dug up all his poo, because McCoy states, oh, he might have buried something there. His shift ended on that day at 4 p.m. after everyone else had cleared the field. He had text messages with CW, but did not speak to him again. So he did not speak to him on the phone or in person, but he had a couple of text messages. So Tuesday, August the 14th, McCoy states he went to the office in the morning, got a burrito at 6:31 a.m., learned from Luke Apple via GroupMe message that CW was not coming in today. So that GroupMe message is basically a message, where all the workers are in this group to get information to everyone quickly. So CW was not coming in today. That's how he learned. Went to a site approximately 7 miles from the office to assist a coworker. Went to a training located at the intersection of County Road 47 and County Road 4. I checked all that. This is reasonable. He states it's 25 miles from the office. That's not a lie. At 1 p.m., he left the training and decided to go back to Cervi 319 to see if anything is out of the norm. After being asked what he meant, he answered, a combination of things made me suspicious. The clothing Watts was wearing, the spot where he parked his truck, that Watts was being short with messages the previous day, so on Monday, that CW was more quiet than usual on Monday, and the fact that Shanann did not take her keys or purse. So I'm going to now ask you guys, how does McCoy know when he did not talk to him again in person or on the phone that Shanann left her keys or purse?
Right, exactly. He knows too much.
He knows too much. And I did not insert it in this live stream, but you guys, it's on YouTube. You guys just put in the search bar McCoy's text messages to Chris Watts, and you see for yourself that he did not. So Watts did not mention neither Shanann nor her keys or her purse or anything. The only thing Troy McCoy sends to him via text message is, if you need anything, let me know. And also, Watts was always short to McCoy in text messages. There were some, when you watch it on YouTube, you'll see it. There was sometimes days and hours go by until he even gets back to him. So this is as far as I can say, not concerning or not unusual that he is short with him on messages. So to the right side, you see the actual picture of the first discovery that was taken out now, but you see the drawing of McCoy. He drew the location of where Watts parked his truck. And to the right, the blue little star and lines are McCoy's truck, and the yellow one is Chris Watts' truck. So he is saying he parked his tailgate facing the field, which is not true. That little thingy he put to the left in that box he drew is representing Chris Watts' headlights. So first of all, he drew that wrong because he basically drew his own position on that field. And the tailgate also is not facing the field.
Right. He totally misled them by that drawing.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a question. I thought Troy went to CW's house Monday evening. No, he never did.
No, on Monday, it was the Thayers, and then it was Jeremy Lindstrom, David Colon, and Lauren Arnold were the people in the house.
Right. So how does he know? I don't know. That leaves a big, massive question mark. So
yeah, that's really bizarre.
And another thing is, why didn't McCoy check out the Cervi 1029? Because earlier he thought CW had buried evidence where he defecated. Right.
Yeah,
here.
and I think that's actually a really big question. Why he didn't go to the 1029, because when he's asked in his second follow-up interview, and at this point they know that he has lied about being back out to the 319,
right.
And they said to him, tell us, what was your thinking? Why did you go back out? And he said, well, honestly, it's because it was the first place we went that day. No, that's not true. That wasn't the first place that Chris was. Why did you not think to go out there and have a look there? It's just very bizarre the way he words it.
I mean, I certainly would have. If I was thinking, I give him that. You start thinking, oh my God, what's going on? This woman and her children are missing. And you basically relive that day and thinking, oh, was there something odd? Oh, that was weird. Or that was weird, But he says, maybe he buried some evidence. So why not go out there? Why going out there at Cervi 319 makes absolutely no sense to me.
No, and I think it probably didn't make sense to the interviewers either, and that's why they're asking him and pushing him on that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's move on. Let's take a look at where McCoy really was. On top, you see the screenshot of Troy McCoy's Geotab data provided by Anadarko. To the left, I put his statements, and to the right, that's actually facts and data. So the statement of Troy McCoy was at 6 a.m. he leaves to go to work. The data says he leaves at 6:04 a.m. His statement is at 6:43 a.m. CW calls him, but he declined the call because of driving. That's not true, because at 6:27 he arrives at a place at 103 County Road, and I get to that in a bit where that is. So he wasn't driving while declining that phone call. At 6:40 a.m. he states he arrives at the Anadarko office and meets with his team. Thinks that Chad was there. Like I said, neither of them saw him there, or at least they did not mention that he was there. And McCoy states, yeah, maybe Chad was there. I think I saw him there. So at 7:30 a.m. he got a burrito. 7:45 a.m. he leaves the Anadarko office to drive to Cervi 319. Shortly after, he states, CW called him again and he pulled over to take the call. Like I said, guys, watch the Geotab video we did and it explains everything. Then at 8:30 a.m. he arrived at Cervi 319 and at 10 a.m. he went to Cervi 1029. So then to the right, so we now know he arrives at 6:27 a.m., not at 6:45. At 7:30 a.m., Watts calls McCoy and McCoy doesn't answer. This is the only time he calls him and he doesn't answer. So he's not pulling over. This call just doesn't exist. At 7:44 a.m., he leaves the location he parked his car at 103 County Road. At 5:51 a.m., he arrives at Cervi 319. At 9:31 a.m., he leaves Cervi 319. At 9:42 a.m., he arrives at Cervi 1029. So yeah, you can be wrong about half an hour and stuff, but you cannot be wrong about hours or when to arrive or say, oh, I pulled over because I had to take his call. No, this is stuff he made up for whatever reason. Then at 1:59, Cervi 1029. At 2:29, he stops at 201 State Highway 52 in Hudson. At 2:43, he leaves that location in Hudson. At 2:58, he stops at 15001 County Road 20 in Fort Luton. At 3:23 p.m., he starts his truck at that location. At 3:25 p.m., he turns the engine back off. At Danielle, can you read that for me? The one under 325, or I have to stop sharing my screen?
3:56 leaves location and 4:33 p.m. arrives home.
Oh yeah, thank you. All right, now let's take a look at the locations he is. To the left, you see the Anadarko office, that building shaped like an E. And underneath is 103 County Road 25.5. In this area, Troy McCoy parked his work truck.
That's just crazy. Look how far away it is.
Yeah, so you need 5 to 7 minutes to walk. I tried it out on Google today. So it says a 5 to 7 minute walk to the actual Anadarko office. Then the second location, he was at 201 State Highway 52, which is some kind of truck stop. I don't know what he was doing there. And at 15001 County Road 20, that's basically in the middle of nowhere. So there is no fields, no oil wells. So I really don't know what he did there. But to be fair, agents didn't even ask him. So now let's take a look at Chris Watts' original statement. This is also a screenshot of the discovery. The agent says, this is only notes, so this is not a real, interview. This is just notes they put down from his interview with CBI. I asked Chris if it was normal for him to leave his house around 5:30 a.m. and arrive at the oil well site at 6:45 a.m. I'll usually leave between 5:30 and 6 o'clock, somewhere around there. I just knew it would take us a little while to get out there. So you see the agent, I think it was Tammy Lee, she even highlighted that he said it take us a little while to get out there. I wanted to be out, like we usually like to start work at like 6:30. He did not stop anywhere along his trip to work on Monday morning. He did not see anyone he knew on the way to work. He called McCoy, which is true, Roberts, which is true, McNeil, which is true, while he was out at the oil field, but the calls wouldn't go through. He has a bad reception out there, so he starts texting them. He worked at Cervi 319 from 6:45 a.m. until approximately 8 a.m. He worked at Cervi 629 until approximately 8:30 a.m. Chris explained no other workers were at Cervi 629 when he was there. He drove over to Cervi 1129 at 9 a.m. to see if it was ready to run, and it wasn't. He left Cervi 1129 at 10 a.m. At 10 a.m., he drove to Cervi 1029 and stayed there until he left to come home at 1 p.m. So here again, his initial, I think, he put something in his head and he repeats it to himself to make it believable to himself. I don't know. I don't know why he said he was at Cervi 629 because that was his original plan, but he never went there. Or did he? We'll see. So that's just his interview where this report I just read out is originated from. I just took screenshots of the question and answers. You see that to the left there are numbers. You can read up the whole interview in its entirety on the Discovery. I just took what I thought was significant. So we start reading through. The question was, so then when you left at 5:30, which location did you go to? To Cervi 319. And then there was 11:29, and we stayed at 10:29 most of the day, which is true. And so these are numbers I don't even understand, says the agent. It's a section number, number type thing, okay? So I'm taking notes to Cervi what? So we have 11:29. And you see throughout this interview, he always refers to 11:29 or 6:29. So where did you go first? Well, 319. 319, where and what crossroads would that on? It's on a ranch. Okay. How long were you at Cervi 319? Probably about an hour. Okay. Just telling the boys what to do. I was out there checking a line that we had leaking at for on Friday. Okay. And that took about an hour? Yeah. Okay, how long were you guys at 11:29? Probably about 20 minutes or so. Doing what? I was checking just doing an inspection over there. See if I can get the well to run again. Okay. This one you have to kind of run manually. Okay, and then where? The 10:29. We were there most of the day. So now let's see where CW actually was. On top you see an excerpt again of the Discovery provided by Anadarko. That's his Geotab information, GPS. I marked that in the middle so you see those stops better. To the left, you see the route he took, in my opinion, because it is, first of all, it's the quickest. And you see on the right picture I inserted that he did not go round anywhere. So he went straight to the straight on from his house, and at Hudson just went up there to Cervi 319. So his first stop at 5:18 was Saratoga Trail. This is when he turns the engine on of his car, starts his truck. Stop number 2 would be Cervi 319 at 5:46 a.m. Then he leaves at 9:30 and stops at Cervi 10:29, which is stop number 3. Then he does some weird stuff on that side. He turns his truck on again, goes around a little bit, and I'll show you what he did in a minute. That would be stop number 4. Stop number 5, also on Cervi 10:29. Stop number 6, you see on the way back below to the bottom of the second picture to the right. he stopped at that dumpster, and stop number 7 was when he actually got home. So does Chris Watts tell us the truth within lies? Because even though Chris Watts did not stop anywhere on his way to Cervi 319, there's still a possibility he in fact was at Cervi 629 as well as Cervi 1129. And here's why.
It's so crazy.
And now, guys, I want you to look at the left picture. This is an excerpt of the Cervi ranches. Cervi operates 11 well sites, which are by now, I believe it was 5 or 6 are shut down. So to the top, you see that Cervi 629. To the left of that picture is Cervi 1129, and to the right of the picture is Cervi 1029. So from Cervi 319 to Cervi 629, it's about 2 miles. So not even 2 miles. It's like 1 mile, and you drive around 8 minutes. So it's really not that far. So the distance from Cervi 629 to Cervi 1029 is 428 yards. From Cervi 1129 to Cervi 1029, it's 499 yards. From Cervi 1129 to Cervi 629 is 474 yards. So you can easily, really easily go there. Just walk.
They're just so close to each other.
They are very close. And it does look far when you have those Google images, but it's really close. So unfortunately, there's no street view, or you cannot, virtually walk along those roads. I wish I could. But yeah, just to make it better visually, I put the measurements there, and it's gives me the exact. I mean, I don't know at what exact spot they were working at, so it's probably not 428 yards. It's probably 425. I just,
But you can really clearly see the difference in density of the black and white image. You can see where the oil pads are. You know, it's very clear which bit is the oil pads.
Exactly. So there's a possibility, and I debunked myself again because I was talking to Danielle earlier, and I said, well, it's geographical. It makes sense that he went to 319, but it doesn't, because gotta go back here again, where it says stop 3, 4, and 5. Mm-hmm. This is where all the Cervi ranch is located. So on the very top of this little star of Troy McCoy's Geotab, just right underneath where it says stop 2, this is about where Cervi 319 is located. So it would have been better for him to go to Cervi 629 and 1129 first. It wouldn't have been a problem because he drove past those 3 oil well sites to get to Cervi 319, not the other way around. I thought it was the other way around. So now, guys, are you ready for this? Because, like we know, CW sometimes tells the truth within lies, and he sometimes slips with what he says. So I put another excerpt of his interview. So he says, we went to the 1129. The agent asks, okay, again, is that just in the middle of a ranch? Watts, yeah, it's the same ranch. Agent, okay. Oh, so how far away? Watts, not far. Agent, walking distance? No, a walk.
It's such a random thing to say.
Yeah. He knows exactly that he could walk if he wanted to.
Right. It just makes so much sense.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Because if you take everything into consideration, what he tells Cody, oh, I was at 629. Who tells us that he even was in his work truck? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Who even tells us that he was driving his work truck out there? Because, we know that he's telling little hints and gives little clues, even though he might not do it consciously, but he does. So maybe he was at 6:29. Maybe he was at 11:29, which is, by the way, a dumping ground. I checked that out on Google Earth. So if you want to hide a body there, you can easily do that. There are pipes laying around. There's garbage like metal and scrap metal and stuff like that. So he knows exactly. Yeah, I can walk there. It's not far at all, a walking distance.
That's crazy.
So the weird movement at Cervi 1029 I spoke about earlier. To the left, you see that's actually Cervi 1029. On top, I put the screenshot of his Geotab information provided by Anadarko. And on the bottom, you see I put in again what the Geotab information actually means. So if you have like a light blue line, that would mean idling. If you have a dark blue line, that would mean backing up when leaving. If you have a red line, that would mean backing up when leaving also, but with force. And the little stars is stopping location. And the yellow lines and the yellow stars is Chris, and the blue ones are McCoy's. So as you can see on the number 3, on the little star with the number 3, to the left, McCoy has a warning triangle. It's red, so we know exactly that he backed up with force because it's a red triangle, and Anadarko put a rule out giving an alert when backing up forcefully. So like I said, please watch the Geotab video we have been doing back then, because it will explain so much and you can all understand those Geotab information and coordinates and GPS just better. So this is what he did. So like you see, at 3, he starts coming in, stops where you see that little star number 3, and then he goes idling, moving forward. Then he goes behind the tanks where you see stop number 4. This is where he defecated, and Troy McCoy said maybe he buried some evidence there, but never checked on it. So then you see something weird. He backs up with force into the field, backs back down, and goes all the way up where you see that little star saying, telling number 5. So this is really weird. So he comes in, goes down all the way, idling. It's like he was looking around for something around those tanks, because this is the weirdest movement, is around those tanks. It's not anywhere else. It's around those tanks. When he backs up into the field, just goes behind those tanks, defecates or whatever he is doing, backs up, goes up, and starts again, like here, underneath, idling. It's almost like he's looking out the window and just rolls along, which I found it's very weird behavior. And McCoy does the same thing. It's also very weird behavior, in my opinion.
It's very bizarre. I mean, when you
It is.
can't imagine it until you look at that diagram. And then when you see it like that, like everyone's so focused on 319, and obviously because of what was found there, but what if that wasn't the be all and end all location? What
Right.
if something was left at 1029?
Yeah. Exactly. What if something was left at 1029? And what if he just went behind those tanks and they both walked over to 629 or 1129 or whatever they were, We don't know. All we know is he stopped his truck. We go in according to the GPS information that was made public, but we don't know what he did on foot, right? He very well could have been saying, you know what, I'm going over there or whatever, because in his mind, he's so fixated on that well site of 629 and 1129. It's like, you gotta check these oil well sites out.
Right.
You know, you
because
have
when he's mentioned things before, it's because they've had relevance. You know, when he keeps mentioning things, like he keeps mentioning the lazy dog, the lazy dog, the lazy dog, and he keeps mentioning about there being no cameras out the back. You know, she could have went out the back, she could have went out the back. And it's just these little things that he brings up at multiple occasions that you have to think, well, why does he keep talking about this? You know,
right.
Sometimes you don't realize how much you're mentioning stuff because it's in your mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Because it's in his, like it was in his mind with the cameras out the back. You know, oh, there are no cameras out the back. I'm sure he didn't want to say that, but this is how his mind is working.
It just came out.
Yeah. So let's take a look at a couple of other pictures on site. To the left, you see when Watts took that picture of the oil well leak. He sent to Cody Roberts, telling him, I'm now at 319. He took this picture, sent it to him. On the right, you see at 12:16 hours, Watts took 2 photographs of sunflowers in an open prairie. Underneath, you see the exact location. The iPhone gives you the exact location of where you take a picture if that thing is on, and it was on. In the middle, you see, I figured out the exact spot where he took this picture. And to the left on the bottom, you see that he took this picture while idling where the star number 5 is at. So really weird behavior. What tells us this? He took 2 pictures in a matter of seconds while idling. That means he took this picture not standing. He took this picture while being in his truck, window down, taking the picture. This is what the data tells us. Now let's move on to the topic everybody is probably waiting for. Our friend.
There she is in all her glory.
Our friend NK, or whatever her name is now. So I was looking for that part of the interview where Agent Coda asked her, why did you want proof? I mean, you wanted, she's saying something to the effect, if media does that, and then Coda goes like, well, I mean, you wanted proof that he was at Cervi, and she's like, yeah, I wanted proof he's at work. Yes.
Yeah, it's almost like she forgot herself for a second.
Right. And I couldn't find it. And I honestly was sick of listening to her voice. It was just, no, not doing it any longer. So yeah, you guys feel free, go back to her interview. It's on YouTube and check it out. So why Miss NK? Let's take a look at what he sent to her. Ba-da-da-da. So at 7:18 hours, Watts took a photograph of his laptop screen, presumably sitting in his truck. Then we have the timeline picture. The metadata confirms Watts was at the Cervi coordinates. The image is apparently only in thumbnail format, and enlarging it blurs out the writing on the laptop screen. Underneath, you see the excerpt is also from screenshot from the Discovery. To the left, you see the exact coordinates his iPhone gives us, and to the right, the exact date and time, and the image number in order of what he took that picture. So I figured out on Google, everyone can do it. Just type in the coordinates and it gives you to the millimeter the exact spot where he took this picture. That's what you see on the right. On the left, it's consistent. So the picture, he took the picture and it's consistent with where he parked his truck. That's what you see to the left. That's the star with the little 2.
It's identical. Look at the 2 bushes directly to the south of the dot and the star, the number 2 yellow star. And then look at those 2 bushes on the other picture. They're directly to the south, well, slightly southeast of the little marker. So, I mean, it's identical.
Yeah. People saying more of a warning. Do you want to see her again?
It should be like those Facebook images that you blur and you have to click, you know.
Facebook flags it, false information, or against community standards.
Offensive.
Yeah.
She offends my eyes. I can't look anymore.
This is me trying to make her a little bit more likable. I failed terribly.
Yeah, she'd need a lobotomy for that.
Yeah. So we now know it's 7:18. It all adds up. Nothing weird here. The location where he took the picture adds up with the location of where he parked. So, wouldn't you wonder why CW would send her a picture of his work laptop? So, of the screen of his work laptop. The forensic analyzing guy could not blow up because it would be blurry. Prove me you've been to work. Was that the reason? No, we don't think so. We think it's a totally different reason. But listen to what our friend McCoy says about laptop data.
Steve Ergonati a call, and he has a echometer type deal where he shoots nitrogen into the backside of the casing so you can see the fluid level. So actually he shot it into the tubing, but you can see the fluid level on his computer because it can tell you that sound wave that runs down the well, it'll tell you where all the collars are and everything. And I stayed out there while they shot the fluid level. Okay.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, guys, did you hear that? Play it again, Tanya. Listen really carefully, guys. Listen what he's saying about what the guy does.
Please, guys, everybody in chat, just listen to this, please. One more time. Oops.
Steve Ergonati a call, and he has a echometer type deal where he shoots nitrogen into the backside of the casing so you can see the fluid level. So actually he shot it into the tubing, but you can see the fluid level on his computer because it can tell you that sound wave that runs down the well, it'll tell you where all the collars are and everything. And I stayed out there while they shot the fluid level. Okay.
So I hope everybody, do you want me to play it again? So
yeah, Mary in chat is nailed it. You nailed it, Mary. That's exactly why.
Right, let's move on. Or do you guys want me to play that again, just for the people in the back?
Yeah, play it again.
Let's play it again then.
Steve Ergonati a call, and he has a echometer type deal where he shoots nitrogen into the backside of the casing so you can see the fluid level. So actually he shot it into the tubing, but you can see the fluid level on his computer because it can tell you that sound wave that runs down the well, it'll tell you where all the collars are and everything. And I stayed out there while they shot the fluid level. Okay.
So this does not mean that McCoy was with him out there, just to make that clear. McCoy just explains how the process is of getting the level of the oil tanks. And he's actually talking about the well site 1029. But the Steve guy sends them the data on their work laptops. So they know exactly the levels of tanks and also where the pipe's going along.
Yeah. So guys, what you have to understand is, like, from the sort of science of the tanks. Now, I don't know all that much about the tanks, but what I have learned in researching some of it is they can't shine. You can't go up to the thief hatch and shine a flashlight into the tanks because the oil is so volatile that you could cause a spark, which would cause a fire. Well, it actually would cause a gigantic explosion. But you can't, it's so sensitive and so volatile that you can't use that. So they fire the nitrogen in, and they use it because it's safe, it's not going to create a fire, and they use the echo meter to use sound waves, so it bounces off the tank, the inside of the tank, and then it's able to sort of basically send back an image to the laptop of where the level of the oil is, and that's how they know when the tanks are ready to be pumped and emptied. So we know as well then from Troy's interview that Troy said that one of those tanks was almost ready to be pumped off. So that's what this guy Steve was doing. He was figuring out what level.
And he's basically, so this guy Steve is basically sitting in his office and forwards all the information the workers, the oil operators need for doing their jobs. So Watts would have had this information by then. Just to address something Tiger Girl says, Steve Orinati, Sandy Rusek's surname. We checked that already out. Steve Orinati has nothing to do with the Rusek's family, just to make that clear. Not that people go around and, say we said this guy has anything to do with her. No,
Tiffy there. Tanya's just saying that was NK's job, wasn't it, to know the fluid levels? No, Tiffy, she was health and safety, so she dealt with mostly the gas monitors, so the monitors that the guys wore.
But the levels were also his job.
Yeah, but she
would have known. It would have given an alert if
completely
the oil level rised, and also, they got this information from Steve, right?
Right.
But now let's move on. So Steve sends operators oil levels of tanks. We cannot 100% prove that NK was at her desk on Monday morning, but why not calling her? She was the health and safety go-to girl. So if the kids went in those tanks on Monday morning, it would have alerted Anadarko of a rise of oil level. To figure it out, if Cervi 319 was suitable, they had to get the data. So was this the reason he sent her a picture of his laptop screen instead of nudes this time? Troy describes how Steve uses sound waves to determine the oil level in the tanks. Is there a connection why Rogue mentioned Bella's tank? Sorry, I misspelled that here. Bella's tank was not as full as Cece's because of the sound of the splash. But it doesn't end here. I'm going to show you something else. But at this point, I just want to share this. And if anyone wants to take this information, feel free, just credit us. Because in my opinion, this is something breaking or big, and I never ever heard anybody talking about this on YouTube.
No.
So you guys heard it here first.
Yeah, and I do think that he mentions, I think the noise thing is very, very key. I think the noise is huge.
Yeah, because Chris says, because of the sound of the splash, I knew that her tank was not that full. I mean, let's just say he did not put the girls in those tanks, he would have certainly have the data, so either way, whether or not he put them in those tanks, he would have known which tank was fuller and which wasn't, because he had those data, right?
Well, exactly, yeah.
So we have another one. What blows your socks off? Each one of the pictures he took that morning, he took from and stored into his work cell phone. His work cell phone is item 40 in the discovery. So everything where you see a little 40 at the start, it's his work cell phone. Where you see a 41 is his personal cell phone. So he took all the pictures that morning with his work cell phone, except one. The image he sent to NK of his laptop. 7:18 hours. You see, that's a screenshot from the discovery again. You see to the left where it says in brackets 40, then it goes 41, 40, 40, 40, 40. So everything he does with his work cell phone, except that. And you would think he does that with his work cell phone, because why do I need a picture of my laptop screen for my private use? This has to do something with work and it's work related. But no, he took that picture with his private cell phone and sent this image to his mistress.
It's so bizarre. Why would he use his personal phone for that?
Exactly.
It makes no sense.
I mean, if he maybe would have used his phone, his work phone, they probably would have found it. I don't know. But again, you see the guy doing the timeline and examining all his images and stuff. He does not want us, you overread that pretty easily. You always see, all right, item number 40, 40, 40. He sends everything with his work phone, but he doesn't. And you don't realize, until you compare everything together. Like, it's really weird. It really is weird. So I think kind of proof that she definitely knows more than she does let on, or I'm going too far. So far as to say this girl was there, has something to do with it. Definitely. I'm 100% convinced she was.
It's just so bizarre. Mary S is saying, so the tanks were premeditated. Well, the thing is, Mary, and this is what always kind of sat with me in a strange way, is that he had knowledge that, just like Troy says it in his interview, they knew that one of those tanks on the 319 pad was getting to the full point. That was going to potentially be pumped off into the tanker like really soon. So he sealed his fate, or someone sealed his fate, the moment they put the girls into those tanks, because they knew that very, very, very quickly they were going to be found when the tanks were pumped. So that's just bizarre to me that he would purposely choose to put them in a tank that he knew was going to be pumped quickly. Like, if you said to me he wasn't going to, that tank wasn't going to be touched for months, then I could accept that. But he knew his job inside out. He's a big doofus, let's face it, but that he knows his job, and like, he was the go-to guy for so much to do with his role. And the same with the Geotab system, which makes me think he would never do anything that was using that track or putting anything in his workplace if he thought that he was going to get caught that quickly. That's why I just don't see it being his decision to make those decisions.
Right. Yeah. Where was it? Somebody in chat is saying, how did CW open the tank successfully without them exploding then? That's simple, because the Cervi 319 tanks were not pressurized tanks. So you can just go up there, and if you're not afraid of fumes or something, so you just can open the hatches. It's no problem. There's actually a website. It's called, I forgot what it's called, but I can put the link in the comments, where you can basically check out every oil site of Cervi and every oil site in Colorado or all over the world, and it will tell you exactly what kind of oil well site it is, what kind of tanks there are, how they operate, like does it have a separator, does it not, what's going to be stored, how many storage tanks there are and stuff like that. So those tanks were not pressurized tanks. That's why it's so easy to just open them. So he didn't need a full equipment and stuff like that. He just, if he did it, which I don't believe he walked up those stairs, if somebody had seen our movement.
Dylan's talking about the vomit, guys. Dylan, you need to go back and watch our
The
videos
vomit.
before.
The vomit is actually no vomit. It's
nobody threw up, Dylan.
Used to put fires out.
Yeah.
So I hope you guys enjoyed my part of that presentation for today. Like I said, because Erwin mentioned some people had picked up information we provided and turned it into their videos. That's fine. But, we're working hard on this, and I think we should get credit for this as well. But like I said, you heard it here first. And if people can use the information, but it would be nice if they also would mention us for bringing that stuff up.
Did nothing other than be bystanders in a horrific event, and it doesn't matter what side of the line they fell on, were they Chris's friends, were they Shanann's friends, were they Chris's family, were they Shanann's family, it shouldn't matter. They all had this horrific event unfold in their life, and some of them had nothing to do with it, and they're getting named on YouTube by YouTubers. No, that's not okay. That's not okay. It's not all right. There's too much of it going on, and it needs to stop, guys. It needs to stop. And everybody keeps saying about how, it's so peaceful on our channel. There's no drama, and that's what a lot of people are just happy with it. There's no drama, and they want to come here and see. And we're just trying to show you that.
I also, and I just can't talk for myself, I'm not going to stop just because somebody doesn't want to see any content.
Right.
I'm still gonna, if you don't want to listen to any parts of the live streams we have, then you're free to go. Nobody's holding you hostage. You can state your opinion. And if you want to come back, come back. If not, it's also fine by me. But I'm not gonna go out and pick, what can I say? And is that gonna be offensive? Or, how do people understand, or do people understand what I mean and stuff like that? I'm not gonna start doing that, because then this gonna be live streams for 10 hours then.
Right.
You have to decide, and not walking on eggshells. I've always been a straightforward person, and if you don't like something, then just don't listen. If you like it, you're more than welcome to listen. If not, then you're not. It's your decision,
Yeah.
I'm not going around and mute because somebody doesn't want to hear the truth.
Yeah. No, I'm completely on board with you, Tanya. I agree completely. And I am guilty of that. Sometimes I am guilty of censoring myself. And I've said that to you. I've messaged you and said, we should really cover X, Y, and Z, but I'm nervous about it. And you've always said the same thing. Don't be. Whatever example, I've said to you, and you've said, anything I've been nervous about, you've been like, no, don't be nervous. You have to be just direct about it. And, it is about not wanting to be offensive. And, I'm not somebody that wants to be offensive in life in general. But it's not about, that's what I'm trying to learn as I go. It's not about being offensive. It's just about bringing the truth.
It's not about that you don't care what other people think. It's not about that, or to respect other people's opinion, but it's, some people want to hear it, some people don't.
Right.
It's always like this in life, I mean, I don't like cats, but I'm still friends with you even though you have a cat. It's a
I have
stupid example,
two.
but it is like this. Or when people come at me saying, "Oh, what, you're talking to this and that guy or girl,
Yeah.
we can't be friends anymore." Well,
Right.
nobody is gonna tell me who am I friends with, So, or you gonna comment on his videos or her videos, so I'm not gonna watch yours anymore. That's so stupid.
Right. Yeah, exactly. 100%.
Everybody can watch and believe and do whatever they want. Whatever they
Right.
want. I'm not saying believe me. I'm not saying believe the others. Make up your own mind and just think outside the box a little bit, connect the dots. And this is, I had created this YouTube channel like in 2019, I believe, but I never uploaded any videos. So I started uploading videos or doing live stream with you because I was sick of he said, she said.
Yeah, no, it gets overwhelming.
Yeah. And my intention is to bring stuff up to you guys that can be backed up. That's really, a fact. Because I don't want to listen to people claiming, oh, I'm an expert in this and that, and then you go run with that stuff. If just like Danielle said, some people, they don't dig for themselves, or they don't investigate or read up on stuff. And I'm just that kind of person. I always read up on stuff, and that's also the reason I bring the screenshots of the discovery. I always tell you guys, read for yourself. You can all read that in the discovery. I have provide links where I have the information from and stuff like that. But what gets to me is when you ask a simple question on, even if it's on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram or wherever. I don't use Instagram, but just as an example, if you ask, where do you have your information from? Can you send me a link so I can read it up for myself? They don't come up with anything.
Right. Yeah, that's very frustrating. That's very frustrating.
And this is like, I sometimes hear things and I'm like, oh, I might have missed that. Or where was this information? And then I'm asking, where did you read that? Or where did you get that information from? Not with the intention to bash somebody or being mean. I genuinely want to read up on that, but nothing happens ever. So
yeah. Well, you see, the thing is as well, I mean, like, how do I put this? Like, the misinformation stuff, like, it does bother me probably the most out of everything about YouTube, because there's just so much out there that's just crazy. Like, and I mean, if you were somebody that was just, for example, listening to Barry's live, or I don't know whether it was pre-recorded or live, but you listened to him say, oh yes, there was several pings at the back door. You would take that information and go off and be thinking, right, okay, well, why would there have been several pings? Right, they definitely must have went out the back door. There's pings at the door. And, you put that in your mind, and then that leads you to go down other routes. And you maybe end up speaking to someone in chat and you'll be like, did you know there was the pings? Oh, no, there definitely was, because a YouTuber said it. And I think it's just about
that being an expert.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I think it's just about YouTubers being a wee bit responsible for what they're saying. They shouldn't only be responsible for like their behavior, but also for their content. Because if they're putting something out there that's not right, or comes across as not being right, or comes out later at date, you want to say, like, for example, I actually forgot to say this earlier, and I meant to say it at the start, but last week I said about Chris Watts having a conversation about the Imitrex and about Shanann's Imitrex use in North Carolina. And I had put in my slide that it was a conversation with Baumhover because I genuinely thought it was. But it turns out it was a conversation with Coonrod. Now, people will say, oh, it doesn't matter, whatever. No, it matters to me that I put in my slide that it was with Baumhover and it was with Coonrod. So I'm acknowledging that information was wrong. And does it change the content? No. But it annoyed me that afterwards I figured out from someone linking me the link. I was like, oh God, I wrote Baumhover and it wasn't, it was Coonrod. So I don't like the idea of putting misinformation out there. So I corrected it in the comments when I was talking to someone during the week. But it bugs me now that that's up there and I can't change that slide. Do you know what I mean? Because I don't want to put misinformation out. So, and it's a silly thing and it's just me, but I don't like that. I don't like, I will not comment on something on the channel or in comments if I am not sure of a source that I've got it from. And that's the thing. And there's things that I want to talk about on this channel at a later date that I'm working on, and same for you, Tanya. And because we're not quite ready yet and we're not quite there and we've still got some more work to do, we don't bring it to you. We could bring it to you half-assed, as they say, but we don't because we're working on it.
Right.
We could have had the Forgotten Witnesses video to you a month prior, but because we really wanted to, deep dive into those witnesses and try and get a hold of them and try and figure out, what all linked it together, and we waited, and it was the right thing to do. And, if we find out more, we'll bring you more. But we're not just going to make stuff up so that we have something to talk about on a Saturday night.
No, or every day. This is
right.
why, it needs preparation. It needs to get all the stuff in order, all the sources and all that. And it just, I'm working too. And, I do that basically in my free time. And this is why I'm not putting out there, a video every day. I just don't have the time because I want it to be accurate and not just sitting in front of a screen talking you guys to sleep.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. And I mean, I know, guys, I don't want to feel like I'm singling out the couple of people in chat who were cross because of my part of tonight's presentation. I'm not singling you guys out at all. I'm just kind of directing my comments, obviously, because you guys are interactive in chat, but it's not directed at any individuals. I knew it was going to rock the boat a little bit. It's not directed at any individuals. And I really appreciate your feedback. And I just want you to know that this didn't come from a place of, let's stir up some shit, for a want of a better word, and let's kind of create a bit of drama so people come to our channel. I mean, that's just ridiculous. So we don't want people thinking that we're just putting it out there to kind of create waves or hostility or anything. We're not. And I know there's going to be kickback from it. There's been kickback in the last week because we did the autopsy video and there's someone else putting out misinformation about that. So I just want to be putting out content that holds value and holds weight. And that's why we do put together the presentations visually as well, because I want to show you guys where we're getting our information from. And Tanya lists her sources. I try to when I remember. I tend to forget. But people, you go back to last week's video and go into our chat and in the comments, or sorry, not the live chat, the comments. People have asked me stuff and to drop links there, and I'll drop it. If I have a link for you, if there's anybody that wants anything that I've featured or used in my research, that's not a problem. Drop a comment and I'll drop you a link. So, that's why we want to be sure, guys, that we're covering stuff, and that's why I wanted to speak to an expert. I didn't want it to just be my opinion on Barry. I wanted to talk to somebody who does this for a living.
Yeah.
And I was so happy that Dr. N came back and said, no, you're right. This is not normal. And yeah, I'm going with 40 years experience, guys. I'm sorry, but I'd take his word any day, So, and Lucy is saying there, Tanya, she's actually commented, and I meant to read the last one out. She wants you to just do a summary very quickly of what the point of your part tonight was in regards to Chris. So it was really about what Chris said about the it being the distance being too far to walk, and the photographs. Lucy, she's better explaining it than I am. But the relevance of Chris in your part, Tanya, is what she's really wanting, like a recap.
The relevance of Chris, the whole case.
Just in regards to like the fact that it was from his personal phone and where he was on the oil pad when he sent it and that kind of thing, I think is what she means.
Okay, Lucy, I'm gonna go through this for you real quick. So what I pointed out was, well, like you see here, I'm not gonna go through every single slide, just do a quick overview. What I wanted to point out is that the original plan for whether or not he killed now his family, we don't know that. The original plan of Chris Watts was to whip check the Cervi 629. This is what he told Cody Roberts. And then basically as a favor, he says, I will look at the 319 as well and run the 1129 if you want. So what he's saying is I'm going to go out to 629 first thing in the morning from my house. And Roberts then says, yeah, have you heard what I found out there? So the leak at 319. And Watts states, yeah, I was standing right next to Troy McCoy. So when this goes on, these are their text messages they exchanged on Monday, August the 13th. There again, Cody is saying in his statement to police that he was under the impression that Watts was at Cervi 629. This is the image at 7:43 that Watts sent to Roberts, a picture of the oil leak. Then Roberts obviously knew that Watts was at Cervi 319. So then he summarizes it up. Cody believed CW was at 629, and Watts told him he was at Cervi 629 by 6:30. Watts was not planning on going out to Cervi 1029 until Cody asked him to. And he asked him to in that message at 7:41, as you see here. I'm here at the 1029 now. You mind coming over here just in case something gets sideways? So Cody Roberts obviously appreciates Chris Watts's experience, and he simply asks him, can you come out here helping me? This is what he says. This is Chad McNeil's written report saying that he sent Chris Watts sent him a text message saying he is out there at Cervi at 6:41 a.m. Chad also states after given his interview on a phone call that he does remember after talking to Troy McCoy that Chris Watts wore his old boots instead of his new boots, and that basically McCoy is going around telling people about the boots, whether or not it's significant information. I don't know why he does that, but he does. He does so also with Melissa, because Melissa, after her initial interview, also calls back in and states that probably in her opinion, it's significant information that Watts was wearing his older pair of boots, which and his pants were tucked in his work boots. And she knows from after talking with Troy McCoy that that Chris Watts had new work boots. I don't know why. I didn't get the connection, but something must have urged Troy McCoy to tell people that his work boots are so good information. I don't know. I couldn't make a connection, but yeah, I don't know. I really don't. So Troy McCoy, like we know, had an interview initially where he did not state anything really, basically. He just said it was a normal day, nothing out of the ordinary. Like, he checked the Cervis, he told investigators when he left, when he arrived, and stuff like that. This is his first interview where, like I said, he did not mention anything significant. He did not mention Chris Watts's old or new work boots. He did not mention anything out of the ordinary on site. He mentions that he visited Watts twice in his house when he was asked by agents. He said he met Shanann at a company Christmas party the year before, and that Chris Watts and Shanann were very clean. They kept their house very clean. He offers the agents to check his cell phone. He says he does not know if Chris Watts had an affair. He knows that Nicole Atkinson called Chris Watts on site and remembers her name because he says Nicole. That was, like I said, in his first interview. He knew about problems in their marriage because of money problems. He says he arrived at Cervi 319 by 8:30, left Cervi 319 by 11, and traveled to Cervi 10:29. Then again, Chris Ostrander, this is the water truck guy. He basically busted him because he provided agents his JSI. And there they found out that Troy McCoy was back on site, Cervi 319 on Tuesday in the afternoon. And I personally don't believe that Troy McCoy would have ever come forward telling investigators that he was on site if it wasn't Chris Ostrander, providing information. This is Troy McCoy's second interview where he goes more in detail because obviously he made himself suspicious to agents, which is understandable. So then in his second interview, he goes a little bit more into detail, talks about Friday, August the 12th, when they met for a fire stick in the Safeway parking lot. Cody calls McCoy and tells him about the leak. That's obviously because McCoy is Cody's foreman. McCoy states that Chris Watts overheard the conversation he had with Cody and Chris Watts offered to go out to Cervi 319 first thing Monday morning, which we now know he did not say. He meant that he's going out Cervi 629. So in my opinion, I cannot say for sure, but in my opinion, Troy McCoy mixed that up. So McCoy states Watts volunteers to do those things, and this is not unusual that he volunteers to fix things. McCoy states that the encounter on Friday was the last one, so no calls, no text messages, no nothing until Monday mid-morning. McCoy states that Watts had called Roberts on Sunday and told him to fix Cervi 319 first thing in the morning. Like I said, we know he did not. Underneath, you see the screenshots of Chris Watts' message to Cody Roberts saying, I have to whip check the Cervi 629. I'm going to go straight out there from my house in the morning. So this is what basically contradicts on what Troy McCoy is saying on Monday, August the 13th. He says he's leaving his house for work. Oh, I better go to that other. No, let's do it here. 6 o'clock, he's leaving his house for work. He says he arrived at Anadarko office at 6:45. At 6:43, so while still en route to Anadarko office, CW called him, but he declined the call because he was driving. And there again, I recommend for you guys watching the Geotab live stream we did a couple weeks back, because this is going to explain to you guys why does it alert when you call somebody, and just the overall Geotab alerts. It's explained what Geotab is, what it does, and what it cannot do. It also explains that there's a possibility that the children were not in his backseat. It's all proven by Geotab. So at 7:30, he got a burrito like every day. Then 7:45, he left the Anadarko office. And shortly after he left the office, he received a call from Watts, and he points out that to take the call, he had to pull over to the side. So then at 8:40 a.m., he arrived at Cervi, and Chet, Melissa, and Watts were already on site. He said previously that he met up with his team, which includes Chet and Melissa, in the north wing of the Anadarko office, but states later on that he thinks Chet was there, but couldn't say for sure. So then he states that CW parked his truck at the wellhead, which he found not normal. Later on in his audio recording, he said that the tailgate of his truck was facing the field, which we have proved to you guys that this is not true, because it wasn't facing the field according to the drawing McCoy did for the investigators. Then now all of a sudden he says he wore unusual baggy clothing, old boots, which was strange since he knew CW had new ones. One leg was tucked in boot. So this must have been really unusual, because McCoy going around telling his coworkers, this was not normal. Then he basically observed CW walking back to his truck, pausing for a moment and looking out into the direction where Shannon was buried. But in his audio interview, he says something completely different. He observed CW walking past his truck and looking out in the field, performing a circle check. This is, like I said, just checking the tires, or if something is behind the truck when they back up and stuff like that, just for safety reasons. So CW did not look at a specific point, and he was looking in the head up in the sky. So when McCoy arrived at the scene, site Cervi, Chris had already dug an 8-inch hole around the leak. And then he mentions that every operator has a 12-inch wrench. And he states specifically, when you want to go back to the audio, that if operators forget their 12-inch wrench, they joking around telling new operators, oh, you're really new to this job, because otherwise you would know that you take your 12-inch wrench everywhere. So, and McCoy carried this in his back pocket. So, and in his second interview, he all of a sudden doesn't remember Nicole's name, because he says Watts received calls from a neighbor, which, by the way, what's her name again? Melissa and Chad also mention. They don't mention Nicole because they don't know. They only say a neighbor. Watts said he needed to go figure out what happened to Shannon, which is odd too, because he doesn't know if anything happens. So in this case, I just can't talk for me, but I would say I got to go home and see where she is, or where she went, but not what happened to Shannon. And then Watts stated that he has to defecate, and he goes around the oil tanks at Cervi 1029. So here you see on the bottom the drawing of Troy McCoy, where he puts Chris Watts' truck. And to the right is the Geotab data provided by Anadarko. And you see he basically put Chris Watts where his truck was. so where McCoy's truck was. After being asked what he meant by looking around Cervi 319 because it's something being out of the norm, he said a combination of things made him suspicious. That was the clothing Watts was wearing, the spot where Watts was parking, that Watts was being very short with his messages on Monday, which is not unusual to me because by flipping through the messages, you can see it's on YouTube. Look it up. You can see that Watts sometimes doesn't answer for a day or more than 3 or 4 hours. So Watts being short with messages is nothing what would have made me suspicious. Then he states that Watts was more quiet than usual on that Monday. And he also mentions the fact that Shanann did not take her keys or purse. So I was wondering, how does he know that? Because he states that after that Sunday, he only had a couple of text messages, which are not mentioning Shanann's phone or purse. So I was wondering, how does he know that she did not take anything if they haven't spoken in person? So, and this is just an overview of, to the left, the statements of McCoy, and to the right, what the actual data tells us. So McCoy is saying that Watts called him at 6:43 and he had to decline the call because he was still driving on his way to work. And on the right, you can see he actually arrives at 6:27. So why he would decline that imaginary call that never came through is beyond me. I don't know. So at 6:45, he states he arrives at the Anadarko office. We now know that at 6:27, he arrives, but he doesn't arrive at the parking lot of the office. He arrives at 103 County Road, which I'm going to show you where that is in a second. 7:30, he got a burrito, nothing out of the ordinary. Shortly, then he states at 6:45, he leaves the Anadarko office, which is, he's short of a minute because, no, he's more than a minute, because at 7:44 he definitely leaves, and he claims that shortly after he left, CW called him again and he pulled over to take the call. So the call is nowhere to be found in Chris Watts's phone logs. So why is he lying about this call? The only call what is in the logs is that Chris Watts calls him, but McCoy does not pick up, and that was at 7:30 a.m. So I don't know where he got that call from, maybe somebody else, but it definitely was not Chris Watts. So then he starts the truck, nothing out of the ordinary so far. Got a burrito. That's just an overview again. Here you see the locations where he was, what the data tells us, not what he says he went to. It's what the data of Geotab tells us. So he parked on the left, the building shaped as an E is the Anadarko office, and further down on the bottom of this picture, you see the area where McCoy parked his truck. Then the second one in the middle that's 201 State Highway. He claimed to investigators that he did visit several other oil fields, but he clearly did not, because the second stop he did was at 201 State Highway, and that's clearly not an oil field. And the second stop he took was on 15001 County Road, which is also not an oil field. So this is Chris. Again, he states in his interview that he went to the Cervi 319 from 6:40 a.m. until approximately 8 a.m. He worked at Cervi 6:29 until approximately 8:30. So, and what made us suspicious was he had this all the time in his head, that, and he sometimes slips and gives us some truth. So I figured out where are all these sites located, and we found out that it's basically just a short walk from Cervi 629 to all the other surrounding oil fields, and he basically could have walked there. And I personally think he did so, because what he states in his interview, that it's not far and it's only a walk. So then, yeah,
Sorry, Tanya, can I just interject as well and say that I heard someone talking and it was actually really interesting, and it was a long time ago. I have a feeling it was the person that you and I had discussed was an expert on the oil industry, and he had said that because Cervi, I think, I know a lot of people know this, but I think so many people don't as well. So I was just kind of thinking it's important. Cervi is privately owned, as we discussed recently, and it's owned by a family, and basically Anadarko lease that land, and you'll see in all the discovery information that they had to ask permission. So every time they wanted to go on to Cervi and bring teams and things on, once this happened, they had to go talk to the owners of Cervi Ranch. So Anadarko, I think they explained that it was one of the reasons why there wasn't the same level of sort of recording capability and cameras and surveillance on Cervi as a whole as what there would be on other Anadarko property. So because a lot of people talk about, was there cameras, wasn't there cameras, why was there not if there wasn't, and all this thing, but they don't remember that Cervi was owned privately.
Putting up cameras has nothing to do with the owner not wanting to put cameras.
Oh yeah,
how Anadarko operates is they have cameras on their main sites, but these are just like little oil pumps.
Yeah, but I'm talking about more from an access point of view. Someone actually owns Cervi as opposed to it being on open land.
The family yeah.
So it's owned by somebody separate from Anadarko. So because I saw someone recently sort of saying, well, Anadarko owned that land. Well, I was like, no, they didn't. They basically leased the land from the Cervi Ranch. So it's slightly different than a lot of the other sites that's on their portfolio.
Yeah. That's true, yeah. So then CW took a couple of other pictures on the site. Now here to the left, you see that picture he sent to Cody Roberts of the leak on site Cervi 319. Then to the right, you see that infamous sunflower picture where everybody thought that was the one he sent to NK, which is not the case. He stored, I'm going too fast now. In the middle, you see the exact, based on the coordinates, the exact spot where he took that picture. And when you look to the left, where that little star is with the 5 on it, his Geotab records idling. That means he took that picture while in the truck, while basically driving slowly. Then this is what I think was the most interesting. So when Agent Coda, it's in her interview, I wasn't able to find it because I was running out of time. When Agent Coda interviewed NK, as he asked her why she wanted proof, he was out there at Cervi, and she was kind of like outraged, saying, getting up a little bit from her chair and waving her hands and saying, yeah, I wanted proof that he is at work. So she's saying, I don't wanted proof he's at Cervi. She wanted proof that he is at work, but Coda did not get into this any further. So we're looking at what he sent to her. This is the picture This is not the picture he sent to her, but at 7:18, Watts took a photograph of his laptop screen, presumably sitting in his truck. The metadata confirms Watts was at Cervi coordinates. The image is apparently only in thumbnail format, and enlarging blurs out the writing on the laptop screen. So the left is, again, the Geotab provided by Anadarko, and it's consistent with where he parked this truck. The right, the picture on the right side is not a picture from the Discovery. That's my picture. So I put the coordinates in Google and found the exact spot where he took that picture. So the spot where he took it is consistent with where he parked his truck, which you see on the left, and Watts is the yellow star. So you wonder why CW would send her a picture of his work laptop to prove he was at work. And I believe it has a totally different reason. And I can just play it once again for you guys.
Steve Ergonati a call, and he has a echometer type deal where he shoots nitrogen into the backside of the casing so you can see the fluid level. So actually he shot it into the tubing, but you can see the fluid level on his computer because it can tell you that sound wave that runs down the well, can tell you where all the collars are and everything. And I stayed out there while they shot the fluid level.
Okay.
So this guy, Steve, sends operators oil levels of tanks, and we cannot prove 100% that NK was at her desk on Monday morning, but I'm gonna go and dig into that because I want to prove it for myself. So, but why not calling her? She was the health and safety instructor, right? So she would have had any alerts on her desk as well concerning the oil. So if the kids went in those tanks on Monday, it would have alerted Anadarko of a rise of oil level. So to figure out if there was a plan, basically, to where to put the kids or where even put Shanann, and they had to make sure that Cervi 319 was suitable. So they had to get the data on how full are the tanks, or stuff like that, when it's gonna be drained and stuff like that. So was this the reason he sent her a picture of his laptop screen? And Troy describes how Steve uses sound waves to determine the oil level in the tanks. Is there a connection why Rook mentioned that Watts obviously said Bella's tank was not as full as Cece's because of the sound of the splash? So we're wondering, does he know if he was there, putting the kids in himself? He could have known because of the sound of the splash, but he could have also known if he wasn't there because he has the data on his laptop. So either way. So it doesn't end there. Each one of the pictures he took that morning, he took from and stored into his work cell phone, which is called item 40 in the Discovery. Item 41 is his personal phone, and he stored them all and took it all from his work cell except one, and that was the one he sent to NK, the one of his laptop screen sitting in his truck. So yeah, you can see on the left underneath them little messages where it says in brackets 40, 40, 40, 40, and all of a sudden it says 41. So 41, he took that picture and sent it to from his personal cell phone. So I'm really wondering why do you need a picture of your laptop screen with data on it for your personal use? It would have made more sense if he took that on his work's cell phone, but he didn't. For whatever reason, we don't know. And this is also not a typo in the Discovery because you can see next to the item number. Let's look at the first thing here. It's a timeline 6571 to 6573. So that means in his timeline, in the 6,000 number range, while on his personal cell phone, he was already in the 7,000 number range. So this is definitely not a typo. It's his personal cell phone. So yeah, you can take that information and think what you want. Me, for myself, I think this is breaking, and I think, in my opinion, she has something to do with all of this.
I find it very coincidental as well that out of all the images and all the information that the analyst has given, that this is the one picture as well that is just a thumbnail that they can't expand. I mean, is it just Sod's Law that would be the one that we can't really see? Or, was there more to that, was it really just the one, that can't be seen because it's a thumbnail and it does get blurred? Or is this a case of the discovery yet again being manipulated? You just don't know.
I don't
nobody.
think that it is being manipulated. I just think they did not investigate that far, or did not compare stuff, because if I want somebody to prove he's at work, why not take in a picture of me on the field, saying, hi, I'm at work, blah, blah, blah.
Right, exactly.
Why take in a picture of his laptop screen? What does that prove to her? So they kind of had to get the data to figure out if Cervi 319 is suitable. And no, I don't think anybody was buried or dumped in those tanks on Monday. I really don't.
I don't, but I am of the opinion, like, that's where we differ slightly, in that I do think the discovery is manipulated to suit their narrative, but that is just totally my opinion. I think there's other bits that are, even with the way they said in the discovery that the doll pick, and the way they put the information regarding the metadata to do with the doll pick, I think that was very strategically done.
Yeah, I mean, either they don't want you to read that, what's on the, because like Lucy, you're very welcome. No problem. Like Lucy says, why would they mention that it was blurred? Yeah, they probably would mention it because then there are people like you and me and everybody else who thinks for themselves would start asking questions, and this is probably not what they wanted people to do. As simple as this.
Yeah, they never thought COVID was going to happen and put lots of people having lots of spare time.
Yeah, not only that, it's just it's ridiculous. The whole investigation is ridiculous. I'm not saying he has nothing to do and he's innocent, and
oh my God,
also not a CW fangirl by any means. But if there was somebody else or more other people involved, they'd gotta be brought to justice. Because think about that, if they got off with horrific things like that, with a horrific crime, who says they're not doing it to the next door neighbor?
Yeah, exactly.
I just think Chris Watts is where he belongs, because simply for the fact that he knew and he covered shit up, even though he was maybe not involved, in the actual killings. Maybe he was. We don't know for sure because the evidence does not point to that. And I certainly don't believe that the kids were being taken out in his truck or anywhere. I'm not a believer in shadows and stuff. I'm a believer in facts.
Yeah, me too. No, I'm not into all that nonsense. But I do definitely think, mean, to be fair and to be sort of, balanced, you could say that, NK asked for this information and Chris didn't know why he was providing it. You know, you have to be balanced and say that, to be fair, that he may have supplied the information about the tanks not knowing what information he was given or for what purpose. You just don't know. You don't know. This doesn't necessarily, I saw somebody in the comments earlier saying, oh, so he's implicating himself, like it means it was premeditated. Yes, but potentially not by him. You don't know what reason he was led to believe that she needed that info. You know, he like I said earlier, he's a big doofus. He didn't seem to ask very many questions, and he kind of did whatever she wanted. So, like, who's to say she didn't text him and say, hey, babe, do me a favor, send me a picture of what the oil levels are like out at Cervi 319 when you're out there. You just don't know, because we don't have
this also proves
messages.
that she might not have been at her desk in the morning. You know, so yeah, I'm definitely gonna go down the ping road rabbit hole next time. But yeah, Lucy, I don't think that Cody has anything to do with this, but this is just my personal opinion. I think Cody is relying on people like, you know, he can look up to, and he's kind of like that guy when you see him, like you just wanna, you know, cuddle him. This is, you know, I don't know him and I never saw him in person, but this is just the impression I have of him, you know, listening to his stuff. And yeah, so I don't think Cody knew anything. Like I said, he was basically just relying on somebody's expertise or whatever. Troy, I'm not so sure. I don't know if he would be like, you know, I mean, we gotta walk a mile in his shoes. If maybe he just was nervous, but then why lie about phone calls? Or, you know, he specifically mentions those phone calls, and he also says he has to pull over to take the phone call. But whose was it? It wasn't a phone call from Chris Watts. So maybe he mixes something up there. But then also going out there, Cervi 319, saying, oh, I wanted to look if there was evidence, something out of the ordinary. He just mentioned to agents that he thought maybe Watts buried something behind those tanks. So why not go out there and check if there was something buried out there at Cervi 1029 when Watts said he needs to go to the toilet? You know, why going back to 319? It's also weird. It's really weird.
And when you think about it, like, Troy just over talked it. You know, he talked too much, in my opinion. And the fact that he kept saying honestly, he said it about 3 times. And over the course of his 2 interviews, well, obviously one of them's just notes, but in the audio as well of the second one, he said honestly quite a lot. And I just always find that a bit of a bugbear when people are trying to be too convincing.
Yeah, when I was preparing the slides and I was listening back and forth to his interview, and and Steve came in, my husband, saying, "Oh, he's saying honestly, guys, he's lying." He's like, straight out, he's lying. You don't say honestly if you don't have something to hide, you know.
Yeah, I think, and like, definitely you could hear the nervousness in his voice, but there was other tells. And then, as I say, there's things that he said that have just been proven to be completely wrong. But yet he is one of these people in this whole scenario that I don't think was necessarily trying to insert himself, because if he was trying to insert himself, he likely would have went the other way and would have turned around in his first interview and said, oh yeah, and guys, you know, I went back out to 319 because, you know, I just had a feeling, and like, I went back out there. He would want to be inserting himself.
Yeah.
So he was doing the opposite. He was wanting to fly under the radar. So, but yet he over talked, and he wanted to be super helpful and, like, you know, talk in a way like he was being super helpful to them, and he over explained even a lot to do with, like, the technical side of what he was doing, you know, in regards to work, which I kind of
thank God he did.
Thanks.
This information.
Yeah, totally. But like looking back, you're going, why are you going into that much detail? Like a woman and her kids are dead. You know,
Yeah.
why are you go? No one gives a shit about how the oil stuff operates. You know, like it was just very bizarre. And then, as I say, I just felt the waterworks at the end. You know, I can be cynical, I guess, but I really felt the waterworks were just over the top.
Yeah. And if you go
Yeah.
back to Melissa's interview, guys, I forgot to mention, she also states that she went back to Cervi 319 to check on the progress, and she wanted investigators to know that she went back there. So something was up. I don't know. Something was up. Lisa
Yeah.
saying, I think you already debunked the shadow theory of CW picking up Bella. His GeoTrack app proved no passengers. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I proved it. I don't know if there's no passengers. I just can't tell you what the data says and how Geotab operates. And
Right.
this points to no passengers, right?
Yeah. And Lisa as well, like you'll obviously get the gist that we are very like science based and evidence based. And one of the sciences, you know, of the physics of how shadows work, the light source is behind C-Dub. And, you know, if there was somebody walking out from the garage, the light source would have been to their immediate left and would have cast a shadow to their immediate right. It wasn't, it was moving towards
Yeah.
Chris Watts. So like that doesn't make sense. And physics and shadows, you know, can't be manipulated. They don't lie.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that just, you know, it debunked itself when you look at the physics of where the light was coming from.
Yeah.
So
Okay, guys, to sum it all up, I hope we entertained you. And I think I'm gonna go down the NK rabbit hole about
well, you've got a
things.
fan in chat. Someone saying NK was sexy. Whatever floats your boat, I guess. So I think you might be
Yeah,
on
I
your
mean, she
own in
wasn't
that one.
ugly, you know,
Yeah.
she wasn't ugly,
I
but
wouldn't stretch as far as saying she was sexy.
well, everyone to their own
Has
opinion.
their own thing, yeah. Whatever
Yeah,
floats your boat.
exactly.
But yeah.
Yeah. So this was a long discussion. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed what we been showing you tonight. And yeah, to sum it all up, definitely gonna do something next week, Saturday. I'm not sure on what exactly, but it will definitely involve, even if it's just a quick thing, but I'm gonna go sit down and check out NK's pings and try to explain to you how cell phone towers work, because I had recently a discussion about that. And I also, what I forgot to mention, I'm gonna show you that the sheet was probably placed, and the reason why CW asked when he was interviewed, when was this picture taken? I don't know if you guys remember when he said, when he wrote down on the tanks where each kid was in and where Shanann's grave was, he was asking when was that picture taken. And I think while going through the discovery today, I found out why he said that, and I compared a little bit of stuff, and I'm gonna show you next time. Yeah.
Cool.
So I hope everybody has a good day, good night, good evening, wherever you are. And
yeah, guys, have a lovely week. Take it easy, stay safe, and don't be giving into the trolls or the bashers. If you're on other channels, just rise above.
yeah, no bashing, no drama.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
Yeah, so have a good week, and we will see you probably next weekend. And if anybody wants to drop us a little comment on the video when it goes back up, we would love that. And if you have any questions, we will do our very best to answer anything that you have.
Exactly. All right, guys. See you next
Okay,
week.
guys, take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.